Welcome to the State of Vermont's training on retail pricing integrity. This is part one of a three-part series. My name is Scott Dolan, and let's get started. In part one, we will be covering the importance of accurate retail pricing, some background about our price verification audit program, what a price verification audit looks like, and what happens afterwards. In parts 2 and 3, we will have some recommendations which can be implemented at the corporate and in-store levels to improve pricing integrity. First, let's discuss a little bit of background on why the state of Vermont conducts retail price audits. The state of Vermont conducted their first pricing audit back in the 1990s after Vermont lawmakers adopted statutes requiring us to perform these inspections from time to time. The program has grown since then, and for many years, nearly all stores were able to comply with the requirements of good retail pricing integrity. As you can see from the chart, for many years, 10% or less of businesses did not pass these inspections. However, in the last few years, this percentage has grown to as high as 37%. We are here today because the state of Vermont believes that by sharing some of the best practices we have seen from some retailers, that all retailers should be able to improve their retail pricing integrity and improve the rate at which everyone passes price verification audits. Now let's move on to the importance of accurate retail pricing for consumers and how it is important to equity in the marketplace. Let's start by taking a few seconds to think about the last time you were charged more than you anticipated for an item or service. How did this make you feel? I'm sure it wasn't the best experience. So why is retail pricing integrity important? There are two main reasons. First of all, it is illegal in the state of Vermont to misrepresent prices, whether it is intentional or not. Second, consumers like and deserve to know what they will pay for an item or service before they make that purchase. This allows the consumer to make comparisons and choose items or services that best suit their wants and needs. Additionally, accurate retail pricing allows businesses to compete in a fair setting, providing equity in the marketplace. We understand that our inspectors aren't going to be the people you love to see in your stores. As one manager put it, it's not that I don't like you, but I don't like to see you. Although our program is primarily a regulatory one, in some situations it can provide some protection for the business as well. In the past, a few stores were targeted by a series of consumer complaints on local discussion boards, and these stores were able to use our audit results to help diffuse people's anger and resentment. In the end, you may not like undergoing price verification audits, but these inspections are required by the state of Vermont statutes and will be part of operating a retail business. In general, a price verification audit is a comparison of a randomized sample of prices marked on the shelves with the prices programmed into the point of sale system. Now let's move on to what this procedure looks like in your store and what happens after the audit. Inspectors will introduce themselves to store staff and management when they arrive before they begin the audit. Once the audit begins, the procedure usually takes between 30 minutes and 2 hours, depending on the size of the store and the number of pricing errors. Store staff may accompany the inspector for some or all of the audit, but it isn't required by the state of Vermont. Store staff will be required when verifying any price discrepancies at the point of sale and when a receipt is needed. The state of Vermont uses NIST Handbook 130 Examination Procedure for Price Verification as our guide when we conduct these audits. This document is freely available online from the National Institutes of Standards and Technology, and all common search engines will navigate you to it if you would like to view it in more detail. When we conduct an audit, inspectors select items in accordance with NIST Handbook 130 guidelines. If a handheld device is available, inspectors will use that to screen the prices of items. The findings with a handheld device are never final because that device is not a point of sale. If a handheld device isn't available, inspectors will either take photos of barcodes and prices or collect items with yellow sticky notes to then check the prices of these items at a point of sale. Audits tend to go much faster when handheld devices are available to screen prices. but you are not required to let us use them. Inspectors do not typically return items to shelves when a handheld device is not available. All the information on this slide comes from the aforementioned Examination Procedure for Price Verification in NIST Handbook 130. Stores are divided into one of two categories. 1. Convenience and other small retail stores. 2. All other retail stores. The inspector has the discretion to choose either a single or two-stage sample audit. For example, in a small retail store, if a single stage audit is used, the inspector will check 50 items. If they use a two-stage audit in this same store, the inspector will first check 25 items, and if this sample has a rate of error 2% or less, the store passes and the audit is complete. However, if the error rate is greater than 2%, the inspector will expand the sample to an additional 25 items for a total of 50 items. For all other retail stores, a single-stage audit would consist of a check of 100 items, while a two-stage audit would consist of an initial check of 50 items. Just like in a small retail store, if this sample has an error rate of 2% or less, the store passes and the audit is complete. However, if the error rate in this sample is greater than 2%, the inspector will expand the sample to an additional 50 items for a total of 100 items. When a store fails an audit, the total number of items chosen is the same no matter whether a one or two-stage audit was performed. For stores with a large number of sale items, two separate audits are completed, one for regular priced items and one for items on sale. In all cases, the rate of error cannot exceed 2%. That is equivalent of 1 out of 50 items or 2 out of 100. During an audit, when a price on the shelf does not match the price in the computer, these items are taken to a point of sale to verify the actual price a consumer would have paid. A receipt showing these items is produced, and all errors are noted on the audit report by the inspector. Errors in favor of the consumer do not count against the store. Undercharges, when a consumer is charged less, do not cancel out overcharges when a consumer is charged more. When a store fails a price verification audit, a copy of the receipt is collected. Once the audit is completed, the inspector will leave a copy of the audit report with the store. The inspector will leave an official notice if the error rate for the audit exceeds 2%. When an inspector completes the audit without being accompanied by store personnel, they will review all errors found with store staff after the prices have been verified in the point of sale. Typically, all errors are corrected at this time. The state of Vermont does not schedule these audits in advance and does not call ahead. Inspectors often complete price verification audits in conjunction with other inspection work, such as small-scale or gas pump inspections. When store chains have questions about price verification audits, a mock audit can be scheduled for the chain of stores, but not each individual store. If your store fails a price verification audit, these are some terms you should know. The inspector will leave an official notice at the time of inspection, which states the inspector's findings. A report of corrective action is a document that states, "We were at your store and this is what we found. Now we want to know how you are going to correct it." An administrative penalty is a financial fine issued in response to egregious and/or repeated failure of price verification audits. All three of these documents are types of notices of violation. Following a failure of a price verification audit, the store will receive a notice of violation from our office in the form of an RCAT or administrative penalty. RCATs must be responded to in writing within 10 days from the time you receive it. Stores have 15 days from when they receive an administrative penalty to request a hearing before the penalty becomes final. All these notices of violation will be delivered by certified mail. How often should you expect a price verification audit in your store? Depending on our staffing levels, Stores that pass audits are typically subject to at least one price verification audit per calendar year, while stores that fail audits are subject to follow-up audits within a period of 3 to 6 months. If we receive a consumer complaint about pricing in your store, we will be back to complete another price verification audit, regardless of routine inspection status. In summary, the price verification audits and the follow-up procedures are designed to be fair to the business while still providing consumers some assurance of accurate retail pricing. Thank you, and feel free to contact me with questions or if you need any additional clarification. Now you can continue to Part 2, Corporate Level Recommendations.